Okay, what's up, everybody? It's BallietBran. Sorry for being a couple of minutes late. Had to clear one last thing, but today I'll be live streaming with David from August University. I'll bring up his YouTube channel here just so everyone can see. And once again, just want to meet other people in the community. Find out a little bit about August University, right? And then kind of how he got into crypto. He's in Hex and Pulse, it seems. So just want to chit chat with another Hexagon. But before we do that, let's do the intro, and then we'll bring him on for a little bit.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Yeah. Say hey. Say hey. Motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. BallietBran.
Okay, awesome. So how's it going, David? Thank you very much for coming on. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, man. Nice to finally be on here. That video was hype, by the way. I'm excited now. Gotta master those Richard Hart dance moves, I think, with the popping and locking.
No, it's so true, man. It's that's actually from like a really old like crypto conference, like maybe like a OG Bitcoiner conference that Richard was at. But yeah, it's like you mentioned, those dance moves, they're kind of hard to mimic. I should learn some of those myself and get some in the list.
Definitely. I think the one and only Richard Hart, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, especially with the colorful shirt and things like that. There's only a few people that can kind of pull off such a thing, and it takes someone like himself. But let's get into it, real quick and kind of just see, this is your YouTube channel, the August University. Can you maybe tell everyone, because honestly I don't know much about it, but can you maybe tell us what August University is and kind of things like that?
Yeah, so for me, it's all about over the last few years, I kind of got out of the that 9-to-5 mentality, basically with reason. Like, I have a family now, and I was just kind of getting tired of this whole like 9-to-5 mindset. No matter what I did when it comes to going to work and trying to get promotions and retail, it just wasn't happening. And it always looked back at like, okay, maybe I'm not good enough. And basically not told directly, but basically you're told you're not good enough no matter what you do, no matter what you try. So I had to take matter in my own hands. And that's when I decided to discover entrepreneurship and starting my own business online, starting a YouTube channel. And my whole goal was to educate people how to make money online, how to be self-sufficient, provide for their families, and build a future life of abundance as well. So not where I want to be yet, but I'm looking to get there, keep working, and take everyone with me as well by educating others. So the whole August University, August actually is my birth month, so that's where I got August from. But it actually, when you look up August, it means opulence and luxury as well, and which I also really, really love. So my whole point is my whole thought process is a place where you can go for education, learning how to make money, how to be self-sufficient, and then building a brand around that. So it started with the YouTube channel, and next step would be educational products as well, while I build up the community. So
That's really cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that story. I had no idea that was kind of the origin. When did you create that?
We're looking
The
at
August University.
yeah, about 2 years. I think we're going on 2 years now. And when I first started, I was more so. I'm still into the affiliate marketing side of things. Like that's where I make some of my money. But for more recently, I found Hex and PulseChain and crypto. I got back into crypto more strongly now. So that's where I kind of focus. I still do the affiliate marketing thing. I still talk about products that I'm passionate about, but I can't help but putting out a Hex video or a PulseChain video because that's what I'm passionate about. That's what I love. So,
No, that's exciting, man. Yeah, I've seen your YouTube videos, and it's really cool, man, because there's so many people, whether it's Hex, whether it's Pulse, whether it's crypto in general, that it's almost hard to keep up with. And so I think I found your channel through like the grapevine on Twitter, and I was like, man, another person making videos, and I'm not even subscribed. So click the subscribe and then click the bell. That way I can be notified. But can you maybe give us like a little bit of a background on like your story, like maybe how you got into crypto in general? Because you had mentioned that you had gotten back into crypto, and then maybe how you'd kind of found like Hex or Pulse or Richard Hart, whichever one it was first.
Yeah. So what happened? I think it was the 2017. The 2017, 2018 hype with Bitcoin and Ethereum and just the whole bull. It was super bullish then. I think it was 17, and it was where it was the top of Bitcoin before the next run up. And I was getting into Bitcoin. I was doing videos regarding it. I was into all this affiliate marketing stuff that was crypto related. And then I just got into the wrong things, man. I was watching Bitcoin videos every single day, Ethereum videos every single day, and I was hooked, right? I was hooked, and then cryptocurrency can, if you're in the right place, can be amazing and it can change your life. But if you go in the wrong rabbit hole, get into the wrong products, make that wrong move, send to that wrong address, all your money can be gone. So I was at a point actually holding a decent amount of Bitcoin and got into the wrong, I had my Ethereums, I had my Bitcoins, and got into the wrong space. All these high yield investment platforms. Next thing you know, those websites go down and your Bitcoin's gone. So, it sucks. And, it's happened to the best of us. And during that time, I decided, it was time to go. And then later on, I circled back. I started focusing on the affiliate marketing stuff, digital marketing agency, things like that. But then I realized something later on, that it wasn't crypto's fault. It was my fault for not doing the due diligence, not doing the research, not back checking everything. I had to stop lying to myself. Like, a quick buck isn't the way to go. It's longevity. It's projects you believe in when you invest, right? So then it's like, I thought about it, and I'm like, it's not crypto's fault. It was my fault. I got to take responsibility now. Let's do this the right way. Then I started circling back into crypto, nonstop, 100% in late last year. And if you look at my channel, you're going to see a lot more crypto content starting late last year. And then I found Hex, and when my portfolio started growing so quickly out of nowhere, I had to pay attention to Hex. Right.
It's that's a very cool story, man, and it's actually very similar to mine, because when I had gotten in crypto, initially it was just buying some Litecoin on Coinbase, forgetting about it, and then 2 or 3 months later, it was like up 3x, and I was like, "Whoa, what the heck is this?" But then, kind of to your point, I had started following a lot of like the fake gurus, the Furus, and then all of these other people on YouTube, and kind of went down the rabbit hole myself, but in reality, a lot of my experiences too were learning about the market cycle, right? Buying at the top of the literal peak and then holding all the way down to the bottom. And then I was almost done with crypto, like completely, just about to exit. And then Richard Hart, who was like the only person that I had continued following since the bear market, because he's the one that called it. And I was like, okay, this person at least has never asked anything of me, but he was one of the people that I continued following. And then he said like, hey, I'm going to create my own product. And, you know, that took like 8 months later than expected to come to fruition. But, you know, it's, you mentioned as well, like sending to the wrong address. Like day one of Hex, I sent half my Ethereum bag, to the contract address, because I'd messed with, you know, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin, but never like smart contracts. And so I didn't know how MetaMask worked completely. But the long story short is, man, that persistence and kind of learning from those expensive mistakes, thankfully, is why I'm here today. But I can only imagine if I did give up, like where I would be. You know, I'd still, you know, not be doing well financially.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the mistakes we make. It's better to learn from other people's mistakes. So if you're watching our channel, learn from our mistakes of sending crypto to the wrong address and never giving it back. Don't do that. Double check the beginning of the address. Double check the back end of the address. But learn from our mistakes. But it's okay to make some mistakes sometimes and learn from them. Just don't do them again, right?
It's true, and it's interesting how because I'd had like the Uniswap airdrop from just using that from what Richard had recommended, and I'd set up a whole bunch of different like individual MetaMask accounts and wallets for my family members. And I've learned since then that if I'm ever going to do that again in the future, to have a backup of the seed phrase, because when I had given it to them, I gave them like a yellow legal pad paper, and I said, you know, here's the 12 words, never take a screenshot of it, you know, never do anything digitally with it. Like keep this like it's your, you know, your gold or the actual keys to it, which it is. And all three of the people ended up losing their pieces of paper. And luckily they ended up finding it. But man, it goes to show you like this crypto thing really is it's still a new industry, and there's such a barrier to entry when it comes to the learning curve or even getting in, that you really need to take your time to do the process. Otherwise, yeah, you really do make your own mistakes, and one wrong address, like you said, can make a huge difference.
Definitely. And that actually brings to a point, you know, thinking about if something does happen as well, like who do you trust to actually have that info if something was to happen to us, for example? Like who's that loved one that you can actually trust to, and do they actually know anything about crypto to be even to recover it if you gave them the seed phrase? So it's something I was actually speaking about with my wife today, because she knows nothing about crypto at all. So it's like, maybe it's time to educate ourselves a little bit. Just, you know, anything can happen, right?
Yep.
It's crazy. No, it can happen.
It's so true, the point that you bring up. And honestly, it's a very underrated but extremely important point, because I think about the same thing. You know, if I die today, you know, it's not like it's in a safety deposit box. It's stored between multiple, you know, the Schmear secret sharing method. But the point is like you mentioned, even if they are able to recover it, whether it's like a paper or like, you know, engraved on a steel plate, now you need to have like proper instructions of how to do everything properly. Because like I mentioned, even someone like myself that was in crypto for a while just made one small mistake in MetaMask, and all of a sudden I'm sending to the contract address instead of interacting with it. So that's a very good point that you bring up, because like you mentioned, you never know what could happen, and you don't want to be the only one that knows how to interact with it. Because say if I did die, right, and then my family's like, okay, we know where to recover it, how to recover it, but then we don't know what to do or how to say convert some of it to dollar. Let me ask one of his friends, or let me ask someone for help, and then say that person is not actually a friend, but then, you know, an enemy, and steals all the funds. You know, so stuff like that happens all the time. And like you mentioned, it's good to think about before those tragic events hopefully never happen.
And this is something that we need to think about. Like I was thinking about, but everyone that's watching today, you should also think about that, right? Like, you're building a legacy. Like for myself, I'm looking to build a legacy for my daughter. I have a son on the way next year, so
nice,
I'll
dude.
be busy. But building the whole point is what we're doing it for. Obviously, we want to build a legacy ourselves, but possibly our future family. But you know, plan everything out as well. Like, am I going to be teaching my daughter how to do all this stuff? Possibly, right? it doesn't, starting early is better than late, right?
Totally. Yeah, I definitely agree. Let me get back into a question that I had because you'd shared some of the crypto experience, but as far as getting back into crypto and kind of learning from some of those prior mistakes, what was the tipping point that you had found, Richard, or like Hex or things like that? Was because you mentioned you'd had a little bit maybe, and then it was the only thing that was going up, something like that.
Yeah, so yeah, I had some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, some Celsius network, but one of my best friends, David, he's actually a pretty successful entrepreneur as well, really great guy. He helped me with my YouTube journey, early stages. Learned a lot from him. So shout out David.
Nice.
And yeah, so he's like, you know what, you might want to check out this. It was last year. You might want to check out this project, Hex. Richard Hart's awesome. If you get a chance before big pay, make sure well before big payday. He's telling me about big payday. I had no idea what he was talking about. But I was like, yeah, I'm in. I trust you. I'm in. So he onboarded me without even trying really. He's just like, this might be something worth looking at. He didn't force me. I was like, yeah, I'm in. So I learned about. That's actually when I started getting into MetaMask and the whole DeFi space, because at first I had my money in exchanges, which we know.
Yeah.
You don't control everything when it's on exchange. Not your keys, not your crypto, right?
Yep.
So that got me into DeFi and got me into MetaMask. That was a big learn. And then got me into Hex as well. So I got my first bit of Hex. And then after all this stuff, after I waited, I added up my portfolio into one of these apps, and then I started looking. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on?
Yeah.
And it just started multiplying and multiplying and multiplying, something that I didn't even think anything of, because I didn't, it's not like I put, hundreds of thousands of dollars in or anything. But when that number increased that much, I was like, man, I'm sleeping on this. I need to educate myself as much as possible. What's Richard Hart doing? What's the Hex community doing? Then I was hooked. Because I started watching Richard Hart videos, and I'm like, this guy offers so much value and so much education for free, and he's spitting the facts, right? He's spitting the facts. And after that, I was a Hexican. I was all in, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this content, but I'm also gonna provide value to others as well, so to make sure that they're doing what I feel is the right thing. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but what I feel is an awesome thing.
No, that's really cool, man, and commendable too, because like you had mentioned, you had learned the the product yourself and itself, and followed Richard. But the cool thing that I think is kind of taking your own initiative and making some of the videos and kind of helping other people out too, because once again, as you mentioned, like what if someone can learn from my biggest mistake in Hex or in crypto, which I talk about, sending to the contract address and things like that. But what if people can learn from that as opposed to making those mistakes themselves? And then similar to Richard with just his wealth of knowledge, he doesn't just talk about crypto. He's got an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to other things that are, being asked in the comment section. So I think that's really cool that you make videos on it currently, and even some of the things on PulseChain I've seen you do. It's really cool to see just how much participation there is in one community. It's very grassroots and organically being adopted.
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you checking out my content as well. And I really like what you bring to the table. Obviously, you're an OG. You're an OG. I wish I was an OG. But it's, it's never too late to get started. I really do feel like it's pretty viral, right? So I think there's a lot of room to grow. When you look at your chart and the meme coins are the ones popping right now, like 20% gains right now. Some of these ones are coming back from the dead, to be honest. And that's great. They're fun. I don't have a problem with all these meme coins. I think they're fun projects.
Me neither.
But they're not Hex.
Yeah.
If you have a little bit, the whole point for me, let's say if I have a little bit of sheep, which I do, and it makes significant gains, I'm gonna definitely at some point take my profits and then put it into Hex.
Right.
Or no, it's true. Copy on PulseChain.
Yeah, let me talk to you a little bit more about that. So I mean, are you excited for PulseChain? I know we've never seen anything like this where, I mean, because Binance Smart Chain kind of led the way where it's like, okay, now we can do delegated proof of stake. They've got 21 validators, but forking Ethereum, doing some of the stuff that Ethereum 2.0 wants to do, but it doesn't have the caveat that say, Richard's doing with Pulse, which is the whole system state itself. Can you maybe, since, obviously you've been in crypto for a while, can you maybe talk a little bit about that and what it means to you? Are you excited for the copy of the coins, things like this?
Yeah, so when it comes to PulseChain, there's so many unknowns. So a lot of people do talk about PulseChain and talk about a lot of different things. I try to tread lightly on it. I'm super excited. I think this is groundbreaking technology. The first time everything's going to be forked on Ethereum over and get duplications of all the coins. So there's a lot of what ifs here, right? So I'm definitely super excited because it's the first time ever anything like this has been done. So this is monumental to the cryptocurrency space. I don't think enough people know about this, unfortunately, but it's going to be definitely a game changer. I'm excited the fact that everything that as these current dips right now, for example, some people are freaking out, panicking. I'm just dollar cost averaging in while I can, putting in some extra work to dollar cost average in some more because I feel this is a long-term move. And knowing that things are duplicated over to PulseChain to get the new Hex or P, is it P Hex or just Hex now?
I guess it's just Hex, but yeah, either way, it's some of that nomenclature is a little bit
yeah, who knows until it comes out officially. But I'm excited about that,
exactly.
and I'm seeing some projects starting to develop and build like Pulse Swap, I believe, and some other lending platforms that are looking to build as a way to add value to the crypto space without selling your crypto, being able to leverage it, as long as everything's done the right way. Because if we're gonna do crypto lending, I think that's a powerful thing, but I don't want people losing their crypto either, right? So we have to be safe about that. But I am excited to see, Richard Hart mentioned something about stable coins being duplicated. Are they gonna? They would be smart if they were to back those assets up, because there's going to be demand. So are we going to see duplicates of all stable coins? Are they going to have the same value? Who knows? It's crazy. It's insane. It really is insane.
It's very true. Yeah, like you mentioned, with nothing being copied over before, like with PulseChain with that system state, the owner of say USDC or even USDT, but say as far as USDC goes with Circle, them being the owners, yeah, they can take their admin key and completely render those coins useless or deactivate them. But then if they wanted their USDC to be on Pulse in the future, they'd have to redeploy another contract separate from the copy and then kind of have that one be the official stable coin. So I think, as you mentioned, none of us have ever seen what is going to happen and with that actual regard itself. But yeah, it's going to be cool, man. It's going to be cool because at the end of the day, it really is with say Ethereum or something like PulseChain. It's a lot different than Hex, the way that it gains value. So if you can already fork over that user network and you can incentivize people to build on there and interact with their free airdrop, right, the largest airdrop in the world, then that's already going to start the burning, right, like the burning of the fees and start to make the network itself more valuable. So I'm curious to see, like you mentioned, there's some of these lending platforms that were successful on Ethereum and other blockchains being developed on PulseChain. And I know with those guys specifically, they've talked about wanting to, I don't talk about it too much just because I don't want to say stuff that I don't know.
Yeah.
But I at least hear them talking about as far as being more secure and less, degenerate, is they're waiting for some of the volatility to kind of subside and then they want to launch it, which I think is good because the last thing you want is that kind of mass liquidation or cascade type of effect. So I think it's cool that some of those people and some of the other people are thinking about where this might go in the future and how to best make it sustainable.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot to look forward to. And I think if you look on I saw another YouTube channel. I need to find out what her name is, but she did a whole back end, almost like an investigation on the blockchain of addresses and finding these like crypto whales that are dumping like a lot of money into the sacrifice, or they did dump a lot of money into the sacrifice, and they knew what they were doing in the past with Ethereum as well. So these are smart whales here getting into the sacrifice, and there has to be a reason if they know what they're doing. And now we're talking a lot of money here, so.
Yeah, no, I've seen that lady as well, and I'll scroll down my subscription list because I know I'm subscribed. Oh, it's her name's PulseChain. Let me share the screen here because I had blanked on her name earlier because she just started maybe a couple of weeks ago. But
she's killing it so far. So
dude,
shout out,
she's doing great, man. Like
3 videos and just
man.
straight killing it. So shout out to the Hex ladies, PulseChain ladies in the space, cryptocurrency ladies. We need more of you, so we appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I think, like you mentioned, we need more of that, right? That's part of the organic adoption that we were talking about, where this really is something that is natural, is organic, and being pre-viral like this is just going to reward everyone that's in it currently. I mean, you mentioned kind of everyone has gotten in at different timelines, but I think even the people that are in it now, since Hex is less than 2 years old, like the people that are in it now, maybe 2 years from now, I think they'll be in a very similar position, if honestly not better, relative to where OGs are at. Because if you think about the first 10,000x, that's great, but the way that it's supposed to gain value and appreciate is kind of like a hockey stick or a big parabola, where it starts getting more exponential, as the time goes on. So I think that's really exciting for everyone. Like a lot of people, they see, some of the shares like, oh, it used to be 60 cents and now it's, X price. But if you just kind of extrapolate that to where that could be in the future to what you have currently, it's really exciting.
Definitely. And more recently, like I've been, everyone that's watching here, hopefully you guys check out Hexasian's channel as well on Discord Syndicate. We go live there on Mondays. So I've been jumping on some of Hexasian's lives as well. And they taught me a lot about like the different ways you can stake. And I got to follow up with some of your content as well. But there's so many different ways and strategies you can do to stake, which add value to your life later as well. So, and it's just insane. Like the 5 is incredible. And just imagining the gains that can happen in that time frame is just ridiculous, to be honest.
Well, it's true, and a lot of people, they've got this like almost like conundrum where it's like, man, even if I lock $10 up for Quattro Cinco 5,555 days, that might not be enough of a principle. And it's like, for me, I think it's quite the opposite of the thinking, where it really is the amount of time that you spend in the market, right? They say whether it's stocks or whether it's something like Hex, that a lot of the majority of the price gains happened within like 10 days of trading, and no one's going to be able to time that perfectly, even if you are an expert. So you might as well just put in your time. But as you also say, if you have kids and things like that you can lock up for such a long time. My oldest brother's best friend, he had a kid maybe a year ago, and I had set him up with like a Quattro Cinco stake, and wow. I don't even remember how much it was at the time, but I see where it's at now, and it's like a few $1,000s now. And it's like, man, to think where that's going to be when he is 16 is just going to be, the kid's going to be like a millionaire by the time he's 16, so that's exciting.
That's insane and powerful. And, I set up I've been telling my friends and stuff like that. And, a lot of my friends still think I'm crazy for getting into crypto and it's so volatile and this and that. I'm like, you guys are sleeping. You need to wake up, because you can chase the next, meme stock and all this stuff and craziness, but you guys are sleeping on the reality here that everything's going to be blockchain based, in my opinion. Everything's going to be digital. So you guys need to educate yourself, and, you got to consider savings accounts and what's the best savings account that with the high interest right now. It's in crypto. And specifically Hex is one of those things that are making massive gains. So why not do a long stake, and why not get into crypto and start saving some of that birthday money into their crypto account for them? For they may not understand it yet, but you can educate them how to access it later. But instead, it's not going to be $100 anymore. It's going to be thousands, if not more, like you said. So millions, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's so true, man. And like, honestly, I was kind of one of those people that underestimated like even just the power of Hex. But the analogy really kind of shows what a 10,000x can really do as far as price gains, where, even the person that did have $100, now that's $1 million. And that doesn't include the big payday. That doesn't include the price appreciation if they were to have staked with the interest. And then now, say those people that got that 10,000x, the $100 to $1 million, that's obviously if you bought the bottom, sold the top type of deal. But anyways, now big payday was great. It was a huge incentivization to stake for longer. But now people are literally getting more than what you got on big payday. You're getting an exact duplicate of the ERC20s and the stakes and the interest. And I think about that, and it's like, man, what a great time to not only be alive, but to be able to take advantage before that opportunity does come out. Because to get like a buy one 50% off or buy one get one free is unheard of with something like Hex.
Yeah, and I'll get a lot of comments on my channel when I do my videos on Hex and PulseChain, and a lot of people have different strategies, and some people feel like E-Hex isn't going to have as much value as P-Hex, so they want to sell. And I'm like, guys, both are going to, in my opinion, both are going to have value, because I don't think Ethereum's going anywhere. But this big lull between now and Ethereum 2.0, Pulse has a huge, giant opportunity to grow. And I think having both duplicated and keeping, if you can hodl both, I think we'll be laughing. But you guys can do whatever you want. But I'm keeping my Hex as well. I feel like Ethereum 2.0 will still continue to rise, and the OG of Hex, the original built on Ethereum Hex, I feel is still going to be valuable.
Well, me too, and I still need to properly do one of these clips, because the person that was speaking, they don't want me to do it out of context. But the point is you have a fork of like Binance Smart Chain, right, with Pulse Swap, and you're going to be able to pretty much provide both sides of the liquidity pairing. So whether it's Hex and then E-Hex, you can put those into like the Pulse Swap pool, and then since you're being incentivized for providing liquidity, you're going to get the third token, which is like Pulse Swap token type of deal. But like you mentioned, I was initially thinking like, okay, do I want to do like 60-40, right? Like 40% on E-Hex and then 60% over to P-Hex. And then I just realized, what am I doing, man? Like, you're already getting something for free, and I don't need to make those decisions that are more higher of a risk. Like when you have, Richard says this in SciVibe, which I've been listening to a lot, but once you've already made your wealth, now you don't want to be making super like risky decisions. You want to make things that can, keep the wealth, but then slowly grow it. So things that are big decisions like that, selling off one side completely and then going to another, it's a high risk, and possibly it could be a high reward, but also the opposite of a high reward.
I completely agree with you. There's so many unknowns and so much opportunity that you don't want to miss out on any opportunities on both sides of it. You're already winning if you have Hex, or getting Hex before the snapshot, which we don't know exactly when it is. So be prepared now, because who knows?
Right.
But if you have Hex already, or starting to dollar cost average in, you're gonna get the duplication. So you're already winning. You don't have to sell. You don't have to panic. Just chill and stake.
No,
what's Hodl Dog say?
Agree.
Stake long and hard.
Yep. Yeah. Does he have a term called like hexicunt too? Because I know you had mentioned. Yeah. So you said like hexican, hexicant, and then what's the origin of that?
Because in my videos I always say, hey, question is, are you a hexican? That means you're on board, or a hexicant. I got that from obviously Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Awesome movie. I like Desperado as well. But yeah, then he replied that he's like, "That's on my hexicant." I'm like, I'm just gonna roll with it. I tweeted that out too, right? So hopefully we can.
That was funny.
Together with Hodl Dog sometime as well. He's hilarious. I like his videos as well. So shout out Hodl Dog for sure. I don't know what a
that-
hexacunt is, but you guys can guess.
Totally. No, totally. No, yeah, Huddle Dog's great. I had talked to him very recently because for one of my birthday presents, one of my friends, they had got me like a better mic setup, and then same thing with like the stand. It's like the Shure SM7B. And anyways, that kind of incentivized me to something that I had wanted to do already. But now it kind of like kickstarts it into gear where it's like, okay, now we can really set up the audio and the streams a little bit better for my place and then the girlfriend's place. But someone like Huddle Dog reached out to me and he said, hey, dude, if you ever need any help, I'd be more than happy to, help you set up some of the things or any questions. So that guy is a really good community member, friend. And then he was also in like the Switzerland meetup with Richard. So that was pretty cool to see in person.
That's amazing. Yeah. So it's just like one person in the community reaching out to another just to help, because first of all, you respect them. Second of all, you just want to be helpful, right? So like I wouldn't have even got into Hex if my friend David didn't tell me about it. Hey, you should check this out. I didn't have to. He didn't pressure me to, but I got in. And then, now I'm helping build the community with you here on this live and adding value to people, hopefully. And
totally
game changer, right? And anyone watching as well, if you're ever hesitant, how do I get started on YouTube, or how do I get started on creating content, or how do I get started with anything, you can ask questions down below. We'll try our best to answer, right? You can hit us up on Twitter, or we're just more than willing to help as long as we have the time to. We'll definitely try to answer anything we can, right? And try to hopefully add value so you can give back to the community as well and help someone else.
Totally. Yeah. And I know you said that you were on the Hexasians too. And I really love that show, man. It's, I'm not able to catch as much as I would like to anymore. Usually when I do, it's like a few days behind just with how much information there is. But yeah, Nicholas is saying it's at a Hexasian. And you said you've been on there a few times, right?
Hexasian. So I think he's quoting Richard Hart's comment the other day.
Oh, okay.
One of the lives. He's like, how often do you see a Hexasian? And then so we just kind of made a joke about it. So I actually tagged Richard. I was like, the Hexasians and everything. So maybe he'll shut us back sometime. But we're here, man. Cool. We're here.
No, dude, it's incredible, man. Like you mentioned, the Hexasians. I know specifically too the Australians, like from down under. There's a huge community of Australian Hexicans, and it's really cool to see. I mean, you see what some of these little meetups are doing. You'll see like some of the photos, and I know the one from Australia, they've got like different sections, but they had a really, really big meetup, and it's cool to see that like this is just the grassroots, the beginning. And like I mentioned, those early adopters, whether you maybe bought the top and are in it right now and you're still kind of holding like what's going on here, it's all relative to the market cycle and kind of where it's at. But what I can say is, yeah, it is that time in the market. And, even if you kind of hold through, or if you're staking, you're incentivized daily via the interest to keep holding and to stake. But people can really see a huge turnaround that they never expected before in such a short amount of time. Like really, I think people need to be considering that sudden wealth syndrome that Matty Allen talks about, because once it happens, you want to be prepared. You don't want to be like knocked off guard as something like that happens.
Yeah, if all of a sudden your bag is bigger. There's always that thing where I think it was Ty Lopez I learned this from when I first got into digital marketing, and so shout out Ty Lopez.
Yeah, man.
But the In My Garage guy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But what did he say? He said basically, are we allowed to swear on here?
Yeah, dude, please do. Please do.
If you're a piece of shit before you get rich, you're just gonna be even bigger piece of shit when you are very rich. So let's say you make 10x or 100x or 1000x your money. Now you're just a bigger personality of who you actually were. So right now, if you're not wealthy, it's a big important thing to make sure that you find yourself and what your values are and why you're doing this, why you wake up in the morning and why you do what you do. Because when that money hits, when those hex gains happen, when it's time to hex flex, you don't want to be a douchebag. At the end of the day,
so true.
You get back,
yep.
And you guys can do whatever you want, but for me, I'm all about trying to help the world and try to help others that may need that. and trying to live a life of value, right? So, you know, just check who your friends are, who you can trust, and you know, if you need time to find out who you are, then maybe take up some reading, maybe watch sci-fi, you know, read some sci-fi, some Richard's content that he provides for free, and get on YouTube, watch some personal help stuff or health stuff. Meditation is important. You know, I find myself meditating sometimes because, you know, it can be stressful as a dad, you know, driving everyone everywhere, and, you know, like you become a dad, but then you sometimes forget about who you are before all this stuff. So you got to take your 10 minutes or hour out of the day, go to the gym, go on a walk, get in the forest, meditate, just to find yourself, and so you can stay connected with yourself and then live a better life for everyone else.
I agree, man. Yeah, it's like, you know, if your cup's not overflowing, then you can't really pour into someone else's. And as you mentioned, I've done that in the past too, where you've like, you would I would sacrifice for someone else, or because you wanted, you know, them to be happy and successful. And then I'd look and it's like, oh wait, like, you know, it's to my own detriment. I wasn't taking care of myself first. So I think, like you mentioned, man, especially when it comes to the health, things like that are super important. I know, you know, the Hexakin in the intro, Nagabo, he had actually had like a heart attack recently, and he was I didn't know the story, but he was in, you know, so he was in Mexico and then had a heart attack, couldn't get help there in the emergency room. So he literally took the next flight to America. And while the guys, you know, like post heart attack or whatever, and the second that he had gotten into America, you know, landed, they had gotten him into an ER. But just goes to show you that it's really easy to make some of those decisions that might be short-term gratification, but long-term, they're not going to, you know, be the best decisions for you. So I think, like you said, it's smart to be able to think about those today, practice those decisions today, because like you say, when you do have money in extra, it just amplifies whatever you're doing currently. So that could be very detrimental for people that aren't focused on health currently. And, you know, you might spiral into something that you never thought you would.
Exactly. It's important to educate yourself so that when that time comes, you know what to do with it as well. Like we see all these stories of football players, NBA players, all these people win the lottery. They have hundreds of millions of dollars, and what do they do with it? So, you know, they end up buying houses for everybody. They think they're doing the right thing, but all of a sudden they look back and it's like, hey, I broke my leg. I can't play anymore. My sponsorships are gone. Where's my wealth at? Yeah. And it's gone. So same with the lottery, right? They don't educate themselves. They go from 9 to 5 and not having any savings to 100 million. And then they have no education on it. They buy all these expensive things because they think that's what they see on TV and that's the right thing to do. And then it's gone. So yeah, it's important to know who we are, what we're trying to do. And
well, and like you mentioned too, like the circle around you, because as you mentioned, even the people that weren't there at your lowest, they might just all of a sudden appear, even if they're family or whatever, they might just all of a sudden appear when you do make it or when you are wealthy. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, they weren't there for you at your lowest, but now they've got a million different reasons or excuses for you to like help them out. You know, now that they've seen you're successful. So there's definitely an importance in that to find out like who you can actually trust, who you can actually care about, and then vice versa, you know, how you guys can kind of, you know, synergize together and help each other out.
I hear stories of your cousins showing up, cousins you haven't even heard.
Yep, exactly.
Showing up right at your door. So, and sometimes, you know what, your loved ones can actually be outside of your family. It can be very close friends that you actually trust more than your family, or, you know, it doesn't have to be blood to be family, right? In my opinion.
Totally. Yeah, no, I agree. Cause like you mentioned, especially for people that kind of just stumble upon it, whether it's, you know, the sudden wealth syndrome via like a contract, NBA players or sports players, or the lottery. Yeah. Those people, it might be easy to just get it and have that big chunk of change, but can you actually keep it is the real question. Cause I know someone like Funding Jim, Gary, he's talked about, he's known a lot of people that had a whole bunch of wealth and then like, you know, went from like rags to riches multiple times. And like, for me, I don't want to have that happen where you make your wealth and all of a sudden you you go back down to being poor again, or being, things like that. So the sustainability of your decisions is something that people should consider, instead of, just buying a whole bunch of materialistic things that depreciate and that don't actually work for you when you sleep.
So I have a question for you about that.
Totally.
I've been noticing some hex flexes and things like that. I'm trying to figure it all out. So what's your opinion on the hex flexes?
So
yeah.
No, it's a good question. I think I know for some people it's just like Richard, right? Where some people are like, they don't like the personality, but they don't like some of like the showboat type of things and kind of flashy things, but they understand like, hey, this guy's smart. He kind of knows what he's doing. I know when it comes to some of the hex flex things, I like it in the fact that, hey, people are showing that, they have had gains, right? A lot of these people have held through multiple thousands of X. So I think that's super awesome. It's also something to consider, right? For people that want to delay their gratification a little bit more, that, even if you had just say you had, I don't know, something that you bought for like $10,000, but then say Hex does like another 10X within a couple of months. Sometimes I have to like think about that, where like, do I need anything to hex flex or to like show off right now? No. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep my money in the asset that's working for me. But those that have, I think it's great because it shows that Hex is liquid, right? We see a whole bunch of dumping left and right of people that are selling into dollar. That's fine. That gives other people an opportunity to buy in cheaper. But it's not something that even though I can do it, and even though some people can do it, doesn't mean that you necessarily should, right? So everyone's different.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you have to be in a certain position to do so. But at the same time, if you're flexing just your interest, a little bit of the interest, then it's okay, because I think we're all doing this for a reason as well, to live a better life and enjoy our lives too. And at the end of the day, we can't take it all with us.
Exactly.
So you got to enjoy some of it. I wouldn't enjoy all of it.
Totally.
Like I wouldn't dump it all. I wouldn't sell it all.
Right.
It's okay to take a little bit of profit though.
Oh, of course. No. And honestly, like that's the position a lot of people are in, where I mean, you're not even touching anything of the principal, you're constantly just restaking it out further and further. But the actual interest itself, the way that you're being paid in the form of Hex, right? No one can guarantee what the price is going to be or anything like that, but at least you know that the yield that you're earning is in Hex. And then the fact that that's gone up, 10,000X in under 2 years, it's like you mentioned, you can just spend a little bit of the interest or live off a little bit of the interest, and the rest of it is just compounding and growing and growing. And it really gets to the point that Richard's talked about in SciVive, where when he retired at 24 with a 150 person plus marketing company and a multimillionaire, now he had to ask himself, like, what is his why? Like, why are you like, what are you going to do now? Like, now that you have all the time in the world, what are you going to spend your time on? Those are good questions to be asking yourself.
Yeah, and it's interesting what Richard's been doing as well, because he's been traveling in Europe and he's taking time out of his schedule. Obviously, he's busy, to actually meet Hexicans, to meet people in person, to film the documentary, to meet everybody. I think he shook everyone's hand. Like, I'm not sure if he shook everyone's hand, but he said nice to meet everybody. Doesn't matter how much money you have, how early on you got in. He just appreciates everyone being there, right? And it's amazing. It's amazing to see. There's no one else in crypto that does that for their brand and their community. It's insane. So that's why I'm 100% on board with Hex. And yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I look at people that have talked the talk in the past, and then they didn't come through, right? They were just talking it just to kind of gain some of that clout, and then never actually followed through. But someone like Richard, he, as you mentioned, I don't know about shaking everyone's hand, but I know that in every single stream that I've seen around Europe, he's like, I'm going to get a selfie with everyone here that wants one.
Yes.
And that kind of stuff is, as you mentioned, it's so profound, because it goes to show you that the person who he portrays to be on stream is also the same person who he is in real life. And he had also talked about in SciVive, he's got a book called, a separate one called Fix the World. But if you want to fix the world, you got to give people you got to give them what they want first, and you got to fulfill their desires first, which is the money, and which is the finance. So he's like, fix the money, and then you can fix the world once everyone has their needs met.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's a good point, because once you fix your financials, you need to find out really what your purpose is out of your life. Because if you're at a point that you can buy what you want, you have no bills to pay off really, then what's next, really? And it's important to have a purpose and a community behind you so that you can kind of better find what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, no, and yeah, it's the same thing that if you don't have it, people can really fall down a downward spiral pretty quickly if you all of a sudden do have those needs met, but maybe you're depressed because you're not doing anything or you don't know what the purpose is. So yeah, those are things to be, like you mentioned, meditating about or thinking about or aspiring to have in the future once it does come, because I think inevitably for people, once again, that are in today, that are just getting in or that have been in for a while, there's a certain timeline for everyone that you'll achieve what you were looking to achieve. And then it's like, okay, well, once you have that, what do you do from there? So it's important to consider.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Well, cool, man. I know, I know we've been going for like nearly an hour, like 51 minutes. I, don't know how long you kind of want to do it for, but I know the next time that we stream or do another video, we'll be doing it on your channel, which I really look forward to, because the actual opportunity of like cross promotion and just meeting people that I never would have met, not getting into Hex is really abundant and cool to, be able to do. Let's see, 87 real quick. I guess 87 Lindsay is saying answer a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, guys, if you have any questions in the chat, ask them now. Let me ask this person's question. So what are your feelings or your take on the whole market going up and Hex is going sideways or down? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Hex doesn't really do the same thing as any other crypto. It's kind of its on its own wavelength. So if you see SHIB, Inu, and Dogelon and all these different coins going up, and Ethereum actually has been running, and Bitcoin's been running up pretty good too, then most likely Hex is going to go with the opposite direction a little bit. But when you see a little bit of decline, I feel, or things start to go sideways a little bit, I think Hex is going to take its opportunity to skyrocket. But that's just what I thought, what my thoughts are. What do you think?
Totally. I mean, I think the same thing. I mean, so Hex was launched December 2nd, 2019. And I remember Ethereum being $80 to $110 and Hex was pumping up significantly. I think it really is decorrelated as Justin is saying here, where what you have is you have the liquidity that was purposely moved from Hex to Ethereum to now Hex to USDC, which is what you want. You want the opponent, I guess, to be measured in dollar, because if you do have something that's tied to, say, Ethereum or Bitcoin, when everything goes up, so would Hex. But if everything went down too, so would Hex if it was primarily tied to that. So I think the same thing, where you've got people that play their games here or the market does their own things here. But it's usually when those kind of cool off and do their own thing, that Hex has been consolidating this whole time and then kind of does its own thing and goes up. And the other thing that I'll say about that too, once again, you've got the decorrelation. We see that with Whales Only, Gerardo. Those guys do really good statistics and charts that kind of prove that. Yeah. But then you've also got the actual interest that you're earning if you are a staker. So even though the Hex is going down and all this stuff, like, it's not really relative unless you're selling right now. And then it's also not really relative unless you're staked and you're going to, fulfill that stake. And then hopefully it's been enough time that when you do sell or realize some of it, that it's not in that downwards pressure again. It'll be much higher than where you had, initially bought in, is my thought. Yeah.
And at the same time, if you believe in Hex, then, this is your opportunity at a sale. So if it's cheap, a little bit cheaper, discount prices, right? For a high value item. If Gucci's on sale,
Yep.
It never goes on sale, but if it is, it's not a bad value if you like Gucci, right?
Well, and it's one of those like analogies where you've got like the traffic analogy where you've got like the fast lane and you've got the other couple of lanes, but everyone say they're stuck in like bumper to bumper traffic. You see one of these lanes opening up, going faster. But if you would have just stayed in your own lane, statistics usually show that you're kind of just going to be better off than switching back and forth. And so it's one of those things that, hey, congratulate the people that had their pumps and that are, pumping right now, because when Hex consolidates and kind of does this like corkscrew thing, once it does have its next leg up, it's usually very explosive, and you don't want to like chase a pump. You want to be settled in a position in the asset that you're in. And then once that pump happens, it comes to you, and then, now you are very excited about that. So.
And what's great about Hex is you can actually go to hex.com and go into this click on stake. As long as you have your MetaMask linked up and everything, you can see if you go to hex.vision, that's a good resource. You can see the stakes that are ending and the time frame. So you can see a huge volume of unstakes happening end of October, and then you can time it really to see why the price might be going down. And some of these OG hexagons may want to, maybe it was time for them to buy a house, or maybe it was time to pay off some health bills, or who knows. We don't really know what's going on in people's lives.
Totally.
So it's okay to to sell at some point, because it is a crypto.
Right.
You can't take it with you, so you got to take some profits.
The caveat I will say to that is I completely agree 1,000%. The only thing I wish people would understand, and this is good for like the new people getting in, because they can get in at a better price. But I mean, you don't need to be selling $250,000 like a million hex cell at a time. And if you do, I recommend personally considering a limit order, because that way you're becoming the liquidity instead of, getting that slippage and paying the fee for a market order. But then also, I've seen bids and I've seen sells that were filled within 24 hours. And some people, they just get so antsy that they want their money now and things like that. But once again, if you can kind of set yourself up for the success and realize that you had staked for so long and now you're going to realize something, well, what more is an extra day or two to get your orders filled and then convert that into USDC or whatever you want to do? Yeah. It's almost like being a good participant of the community as opposed to just murdering the price. But everyone, once again, has their own ways of doing
structuring that, structuring your deployment rather than
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, I think we'll probably end it here. We're pretty much at the hour. Once again, we'll do it some other time in the future, hopefully on your channel, and I'll send you this link as well, and send you the copy to download. But can you maybe tell everyone where they can find you before we do leave off here?
Yeah, so I appreciate everyone checking out this live stream. I appreciate you as well having me on here. I'm looking forward to having you on my live stream on my channel as well, August University. You guys can go to youtube.com/August University. That's my channel. Talk about Hex, cryptocurrency, anything entrepreneurial as well. You can see me on Twitter at Hexasian, and then you'll see me on Mondays on Hexasian's channel as well, live on Discourse Syndicate as well.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, thank you again for coming on. I know it's an hour is kind of like a perfect time, especially for both of us kind of just starting off. So appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on, and like you said it's Mondays that you're on the Hexasians?
Yes, Mondays.
Okay, cool. Well, awesome, man. Once again, appreciate the time. For everyone that's here, the screen is being shared for his YouTube channel. You can also go into the description where I've got his Twitter and his YouTube channel. So make sure you go follow and once again, retweet other Hexicans' work and go give them a subscribe if you haven't already. So yeah, without further ado, I'll do the outro, and we'll catch up again sometime in the future. Once again, appreciate everyone being here. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to share, be sure to comment. Say hey. motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams,